Throwdown here, and I am Haley, and this is Joe, and we are going to talk about what happened at Sumerslam last night. The show, I think we expected more than what we really got. I mean, at least for my opinion, I thought it was going to be way better than what it was, and I think the problem was that they had way too many matches, and so all the matches were like pretty short. They were like in the 10 to 15 minute range. Like none of them were, even the main event really wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. But I think they just kind of booked, and they were even thinking about adding a tag team match with the Usos and versus Big Show and Mark Henry, since they've been tag teaming. But I don't know. I just think they kind of just smushed way too many matches together. I think they needed to only have like a couple. But anyways, we'll start with the pre-show. The pre-show was just kind of like a match they just kind of threw together at the last minute. RVD versus Cesaro. It was actually a pretty good match, though. Definitely for the pre-show. I thought it was a pretty good match, especially for it just being thrown together at the last minute with these two really not having a feud going on or anything like that. They just kind of wanted them in the the card pretty much. RVD won. I was disappointed that he won because Antonio Cesaro, I don't know if it's that they don't have anything going for him right now, so they're not like trying to push him up real good right now or what, but it's just he has not been winning, and I feel like his push is like just keeps going downhill, and I'm worried for him. I really am, because he had it going, and I think the first major step that they did wrong was putting him with Paul Heyman. I think that was like the #1 mistake that they did. I think they needed to just turn him babyface right there, since the crowd was behind him, and they messed that up. They didn't like that the crowd was behind him, so they thought putting him with Paul Heyman was just going to make the fans hate him and turn him heel. And since he's left Paul Heyman, he has not done anything. He's just been losing matches, and it's really sad because this guy is so good. He's so talented, and it really pisses me off that like this match, he really needed this match, and they're gonna let RVD win. And RVD's not even, I don't even think his contract says he's a full-time wrestler. He's just he kind of comes every few months and like, for a month or two. He's not really wrestling full-time, so it's just like you're going to let someone who's probably going to retire soon, and then someone who's new and fresh lose to or win and beat someone who's new and fresh, who deserves the push and who was supposed to get a push. I don't know what they're thinking. They do that with everybody, though. They pretty much just push them and then they destroy them. It's the same thing. I mean, look at Bo Dallas right now. He keeps getting destroyed. He has not won a match. They're not letting him win matches. And I thought Bo was really going to do something, but obviously I don't see him going past mid-Carter now. I really don't, unless they actually push him. But even then, I feel like he's almost going to be in the jobber list pretty soon if they keep making him lose matches. But it's just ridiculous. The match was good though, but I don't know. I think this might be it for Cesaro if they don't really pick up their game. I just feel like he's just going to go in the jobbers list.
As far as Bo Dallas goes, really, I've been hearing reports that Vince McMahon is not high in the Bo Dallas gimmick, and that might be why they're slowly killing it off. I'm not happy about that. I'm a believer, but that's just my 2 cents on that. As far as Cesaro, I'm a huge fan of Cesaro, going back to his Claudio Castagnoli days in Ring of Honor. And you're right in everything that you're saying. This guy doesn't deserve what he's been getting. You look back just 4 months ago even, WrestleMania, wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Even the moment of him joining Paul Heyman, it felt special, but then they just, terrible writing, terrible booking. They never did anything with him, or they never did anything with him and Swagger until it was too late. So, I mean, it's just very perplexing that they would have this guy who the fans were behind and the swing was getting over and all of this, and then they have him stop using the swing because they don't want him to get any pops. It's like, well, they want him to get no reaction whatsoever. Fans want to like him. They don't want to dislike Cesaro. Just like fans want to dislike John Cena, they do not want to dislike Cesaro. So they're really doing a tremendous disservice. You made some great points about Rob. I've talked about it in videos on here in my own channel in the past. Rob is great. Rob is a Hall of Famer, but at this point, Rob's stock is not what it used to be. He's probably close to retirement. And to have him, win clean over Cesaro with no build, no storyline, no comeuppance, it just makes no sense. And you're right, Cesaro is trending on Sandow territory if he's not careful.
Then the main show starts. Now this is what was funny, I thought. Hulk Hogan comes out, and since he was here, I actually thought something was going to happen tonight, but obviously nothing happened. But he talks about the network again, and I just think it's funny because it's just like the only people that can see this right now are people who either got the network or I guess is watching it on stream, like they're illegally, as you can say. But it's just like it would have been better if he would have came out during the pre-show, because the pre-show is free and everybody can watch it whether they have the network or not. You can watch it online or whatever. And so it probably would have been better for him to come out, because now it just makes no sense. He's saying, "Oh, get the network for tonight," and it's just like the only people who can see it pretty much are the people who have the network already. So, because where else are they watching it other than streaming? I just thought that was just kind of ridiculous. It was just like, why the hell would you have Hulk Hogan just come out and just talk about the network? Like, is that all he's there to do now? Is just advertise the network? It's just
the
like
promo. It reminded me a lot of his WrestleMania promo, only he said the right city and, plugged the 999. So I feel like you were talking about match times and what they could have done to maybe add 5 minutes to a match here, 5 minutes to a match there. They probably could have done without the Hogan promo. It's not like he was hosting SummerSlam. He didn't do anything else with it. Perhaps pre-show involvement with Ric Flair and Booker T would have made more sense. But yeah, wasn't impressed, brother.
This was one of my favorite matches of the night. Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. I thought this was a very, very good match. This was probably one of their top 3 of the night, and I was actually shocked with this because I think everyone, pretty much all the reviews I watched, my friends' reviews and everything, and then plus your review, we all said that Miz was going to win. You said Miz was going to win, right? Yeah, I think.
I thought that I was kind of 50-50 on it, and I was one of the few that was 50-50 from my recollection. I'm souped. I'm absolutely ecstatic he won. I mean, this whole Miz, Johnny Cage, he looks like Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat now. The whole don't touch the moneymaker look. I mean, so he's got the Marine 6 coming out on Blu-ray, and we're supposed to care, and we're supposed to invest ourselves in The Miz. Look, The Miz's time has come and gone. He's great for media relations for the WWE, but as far as an in-ring talent, his stock has dropped. And, these guys are best friends in real life, both from Cleveland. You've mentioned they've had some great matches in the past, and this was probably the best match they ever had. And it looked like Miz had it, and the way he got him in the figure 4, it looked like Dolph's knee kind of landed funny. But the quick turnaround and the zigzag, and Dolph Ziggler, now a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. He's also a former multiple-time United States Champion. Dolph held the Intercontinental title on SmackDown a few years ago and held it with great pride. And perhaps Haley, and I saw Duo Dreamer had mentioned this in his thoughts on Brock Lesnar's performance, perhaps with Brock Lesnar maybe not being there every week, perhaps more emphasis will be put on the Intercontinental, United States, and Tag Team Championships. And what a great time for Ziggler to win it. Very happy for my boy. Show off.
Definitely. It's a very good match. I want to talk about Miz's figure 4. Like, it looks like he's actually doing much better with it. I know when he first started using it, he wasn't doing it right. It looked really weird. It looked like he was just off. And I don't know if he just got tips from Ric Flair or what, but it's looking a whole lot better now. Looks like he actually has it in there good. And, it makes him look better because, Miz was getting a lot of heat from that when he first used it. They were just like, he can't even use it right. Why is he using it? But Miz really is using it right now. And I was shocked when Dolph won because Miz, he just won the belts, and the only way I can see them having Dolph Ziggler win is they're finally listening to the fans, for one, and 2, Wade Barrett's possibly coming back soon, so him and Wade Barrett can feud, which will be amazing. Both of them are 2 of my favorites right now. and I think they would put on a tremendous match. I'm very excited for that because obviously if Wade Barrett came back wanting his Intercontinental title back, obviously Miz couldn't have been there because obviously they're both heels, and you know how Vince feels about heel versus heel match. So that's the only way I could have seen Dolph Ziggler because, I mean, they build up all this momentum for Miz, and then they just kind of destroy it again. I mean, they didn't really destroy it because, I mean, just Dolph Ziggler is awesome. You know, he's a very good wrestler, but it's just, you know, if they were actually going to build up the Miz, I would feel like they would have at least made him held on to it for a few more months. I mean, it's just like he comes back and, you know, they're trying to get the fans behind him and everything and have him a strong build up, and it's just like they let him have it for 1 month and it's just like, you know, it's done. But unless they're planning on having Miz win it back very shortly from Dolph, but I just don't think that would make sense. You know, having the title flip-flop like that, it just wouldn't be good. They need to let it stay on Dolph Ziggler for at least a few more months. I'm kind of a little bit worried about Miz, though, because me and John Parrish were talking about this a little bit last night, and we were saying how Miz doesn't get the credit that he deserves, you know. If I was booking the matches and everything, I would put him in very high mid-carder or low main eventer, because he definitely is there. Miz is not used right. They made him, you know, main event WrestleMania and then win, and then they just killed him after, you know, and he's just been kind of struggling in the mid-carder kind of thing. They never really gave him a chance, and, you know, I would have liked for him to win the world title at least once or twice, you know, since they were giving it to Alberto Del Rio and everything, because I think he's just as good as Alberto Del Rio was, and
I think he had a better
look to him and everything, and I don't know, I feel like he's not being used right, and I feel like people aren't giving him enough credit for what he really can do in the ring. He's a very good wrestler, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but I've always been a fan of the Miz. I think he's got the look. He's good. He's a good talker when he's a heel. We already seen that he's not the best as a face, so they need to keep him heel, but, you know, he definitely doesn't get enough credit than what he really should get.
I agree, Haley. And let's face it, when times were down for the WWE in the past few years, they tried to make a few new stars: Sheamus, Miz, Alberto Del Rio, who's no longer with the company. And I think they made a few mistakes along that way. Turning Del Rio and Miz face were both mistakes. And I do feel like Miz overall connects better with the fans than Alberto Del Rio. Probably better than Sheamus, better than a lot of the guys that they have featured. You know, when he was champion, they didn't really book him strongly as a champion once he cashed in on Randy Orton, fighting with Jerry Lawler, of all people. And, you know, he kind of got overshadowed by Rocky and Cena at WrestleMania, despite the fact walking in and out the WWE champion when facing John Cena, which quite frankly is a rarity in this day and age. So Miz does not get the credit. He's a great ambassador for the company. He'll take any media opportunity possible to help promote the company and promote himself in the process. But he doesn't get the credit. He's almost like a very valuable utility player at this point. You know, I'm glad that they had him put over Ziggler strong. I would like to see him be involved with feuds that mean something. Because we were talking about with Cesaro and Rob. I wouldn't have minded if Rob beat Cesaro if it were to lead to something, you know, two former Paul Heyman guys, do something with it. But they're not giving any storyline with it. And it's the same thing with half these, and that's why I have an issue with really how Miz has been booked for years now. Really no storyline. You give him Ric Flair, you take him away. Yeah, he has gotten better with the figure four. Overall, I mean, you compare him to when he came in from the real world and all of that. He worked his ass off to get where he got. He inspired me as someone who is someone of average build, average size, not exactly the strongest, most athletic person, but can talk. He inspired me to keep pursuing wrestling. You know, The Miz, I think, is very much underappreciated. But at the same time, the company can only push so many people. I'm happy for Ziggler. I just hope Miz, what he does do going forward, means something. Let's not have him go back to jobbing to Khali and whatever else god-awful things he did recently.
Definitely. There's just a little bit of a backstage segment here with Brie interviewing she just pretty much said she's going to take out Stephanie for all what she's caused, and she's pretty much done to her sister and her husband. It's pretty much the same. We were actually, I thought they were going to, you know how when they usually, the announcers usually talk about the match, a match after a segment, usually they do that match next, and me and my brother were like, what the hell, are they actually going to do the Brie? Obviously they didn't, but that's the way it looked. But it was pretty much simple. Just pretty much saying, and we probably knew something was going to happen tonight, and obviously Daniel Bryan wasn't with her, so we probably knew that either Daniel Bryan wasn't going to come out, or it was going to be a shock or something. But, yeah, it was just pretty much a basic interview. They didn't interview Stephanie, though, so it was pretty much just Brie's perspective on what she was going to do. She was just going to embarrass her and stuff like that. There's nothing really to it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the one final build, it was a good trick. I thought they were going to go with Stephanie and Brie for the second match right after the promo, and they went with Paige and AJ instead, which I thought was one of the better matches on the card. I thought both these first two matches over-delivered in Miz and Ziggler and Paige and AJ. But, yeah, the whole talk segment just kind of hyping into one of the main events.
Yeah. Let's talk about Paige and AJ for the Divas Championship. A lot of people were against this. A lot of people were against this. A lot of people I know in our group really like AJ way better than Paige. I'm one of the Paige girls. I've always liked Paige, and I've always couldn't stand AJ. I was ecstatic when Paige won. And it was also her birthday, so I thought that was awesome that she won. Twice youngest Divas champ, and she won it twice already. For her 22nd birthday. She just turned 22 yesterday. The match was very good. It looks like Paige has a new finisher, some kind of DDT, brutal DDT.
It looked like Chris Canyon's Elevator. I'm willing to bet you're not too familiar with Chris Canyon. Great wrestler from WCW, one of the great friends of Diamond Dallas Page, passed away. He actually was homosexual, and you can go to my channel, check out my videos I talked about him. But he had some great moves. He was an innovator for wrestling, and I believe that was the Elevator, or a version of the Elevator that she used, and it really fit her well. I thought it was a better move than the Page Turner, personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like her finishing move, the Paige Turner. I just don't think it looks right, and it doesn't really, I don't think it really does too much. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. But I think this is definitely a better finisher for her. And it was for a shock, you know. AJ wasn't obviously. It was a great counter from getting out of the Black Widow, you know. That's definitely.
Yeah.
I wasn't really surprised when she won because I had a feeling she was going to win. Yes, the match could have gone either way, but I had a feeling she was going to win since they turned her heel, and you know, she got inside AJ's head and everything like that. It just made sense, especially since it was her birthday last night. You know, I thought that was an even better touch, but it made for, you know, I knew that AJ wasn't going to hold the belt for much longer anyways. She was either going to lose at this pay-per-view or probably at Night of Champions, because, I mean, she had it for almost 300 days the first time, and Paige really hasn't had a time to shine yet. Now that AJ's back, Paige and Paige's heel, now she can finally be a Divas champion that we all wanted her to be. And, you know, people say Paige is boring. Maybe when she was face, she was a little bit stale because she's better as a heel. But now that she's a heel, you know, and she's kind of mocking AJ and, you know, skipping and saying that she's her best friend and everything like that. And it's just, it works for Paige, and it's just so funny. And she's a good talker. I don't really think that she's a bad talker at all. I mean, yes, AJ's a better talker, but I definitely think Paige now has what it takes to be a Divas champion. This is definitely going to be her better time around now that she's heel and now that AJ is going to be feuding with her. And hopefully Charlotte moves up in this roster too, because then Charlotte can start feuding with her too, and maybe get Naomi in there and stuff too, and have her, you know, definitely on the other end of things. But yeah, I definitely think this is definitely going to be a better time for Paige now. I know a lot of people said that her first one was bad because she really didn't have very many people to feud with, because AJ was gone, you know, right after she won, and she wasn't even heel. So I do think that this is going to be much better, and I'm excited to see what they do with her.
I thought Paige's first run, she was a placeholder champion, kind of holding it just because AJ went on vacation. I think fans, as much as her debut was pretty awesome and people were familiar from NXT, that Raw after WrestleMania crowd was familiar with her work in NXT. It was a great moment, but after that, it fizzled fast because, like you said, she's sitting there working with Alicia Fox, people that aren't taken seriously on the roster, so she wasn't taken seriously, and matches weren't taken seriously. But since this build with AJ, I think this has whole been done to get Paige over, and to really, now we have no choice but to take Paige seriously. She just beat AJ Lee, probably the most credible Divas champion in the past 10 years, in my opinion. She just beat her clean at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year to become second-time Divas champion on her 22nd birthday. But the character's really starting to get comfortable and peeling away the layers. She's not just this upstart rookie anymore. We know what she is. She's cocky. She's arrogant. She's brash. She'll sit there and push AJ's buttons just like AJ had been known to push people's buttons in the past. And I think this feud has been great. I personally thought they were going to hold off to have her win it at Night of Champions, but I had no problem with the second title change of the night that we saw, second of 3, by the way. But great win for Paige, outstanding match. I honestly thought 3 of the matches of the night were Ziggler, Miz, was this match, and was Dean and Seth. We'll get to that later. But I thought it over-delivered, and it was a Divas match, both Divas matches put in a position to shine, not to just be a filler in between 2 big matches, and I really enjoyed that.
Definitely. Now this match next, I want to talk about for a minute because I was watching, I was looking at reviews and grades of people of how they graded each match, and pretty much people said this was the worst match of the night. I don't agree with this, but we'll get your opinion in a minute. Jack Swagger versus Rusev. They said it was a flag match, but obviously, like I said, they were going to change the rules, so it was pretty much just pinfall or submission, and they played the national anthem, pretty much. That's what that was. I was a little bit disappointed that they had Rusev win again. But again, he still has not technically beat Jack Swagger. He has not pinned him, and he has not made him tap out yet. He's only gotten a count out before, and he's passed out. So technically, I still feel like it still makes them both look very strong, and they both, really haven't gotten wins over each other. But I feel like this feud probably is done now because Rusev technically still has beaten him twice, even if they were both cheap kind of ways, just to make them both look strong. But I was really looking forward to Jack finally beating him. I'm a little bit disappointed, but I thought the match was good. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't think it was a bad match at all, and everyone thought that this was the worst match on the card. I thought that was kind of shocking. I don't know if it was because of the ending. They didn't like Jack passing out, or they didn't like Rusev winning. I mean, I think it was better for him to pass out than obviously tap out if they were going to have Rusev, win again. But
Boston WrestleMania 13 finish. It protected Jack Swagger. I didn't have a problem. I was a little irked that they advertised it as a flag match, and we all know we thought it was like a flag on a pole match, and obviously it was the other incarnation, just a regular match, and the winner gets to wave his flag. I was a little disappointed. I thought that was a little false advertising. Overall, I thought the match was good. I thought Rusev continues to prove that he can have good matches. And I think, his matches with Big E before that and his matches with Swagger, I think that has been proven that Rusev's more than just a guy who squashes people. He can have good back-and-forth matches. As far as Swagger goes, I don't think this is the end for Swagger as far as being featured. I'm hearing a lot of rumors that with Kurt potentially coming back to TNA, we could see that dream matchup maybe of Kurt Angle and Jack Swagger. Maybe Zeb turns his back on Jack Swagger and goes heel, which I think Zeb's a better heel manager than face. Zeb's going to come off like Captain Lou Albano as a face manager, just kind of not as effective. The old school fans will get that reference. But I do feel like this is not the end. If they would have wanted to squash Swagger, they would have had him tap out to the accolade it's the damn camel clutch. Can we stop calling it the accolade, for God's sakes? But I thought it was a strong win for Rusev. I'm not surprised, and I think going forward, especially since we didn't see Sheamus on the pay-per-view, we're going to start building to Rusev going towards that U.S. title, him and Sheamus. And we'll see how they work, because Sheamus really hasn't had an abundance of great matches lately, and so maybe this will push Sheamus into having some good matches.
I seriously haven't seen Sheamus at all. I know he was sick with the flu, but like he hasn't defended his title once, except for right after to Dean for a rematch. But other than that, has he actually defended the U.S. title? I don't think he has, and he's already had it for what, like 3 months? More than that, actually. I don't know. Yeah, about 3 months.
A lot of people gave Dean Ambrose a lot of shit for not defending it a lot. I just thought that's how they booked it. But the supposed reason to get it on Sheamus was to defend it more. I mean, Sheamus was part of the Intercontinental title battle royal. He didn't defend it at the last pay-per-view. He hasn't really defended it on Raw or SmackDown. So, yeah, you raised some fair points. He really has not been a fighting champion, as these Irish, they love to fight, fella. But he really has not been a fighting champion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just wanted to get the belt off of him, pretty much. I don't know, off of Dean. Just crazy. And speaking of Dean, the next match is Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. It's a lumberjack match. This was pretty crazy. A lot of people liked this match. I guess, I don't know. I think it should have ended a little bit longer. I don't know. I just thought all these matches were really short. I don't know. I think they could have done something better. But this match was pretty crazy. They just kind of started bawling all around the place, got in the audience and all that. And the Lumberjacks weren't really doing their job. It was just kind of all chaos, and Dean just jumping on all of them, and he just didn't even care. He just started punching all of them. And Seth was pretty much the same way. They were just kind of like, get the hell out of our way, we want to fight. And it was pretty funny. Then Kane came out, obviously. We've seen this coming. And he said, do your job, Lumberjacks. Get them the hell back in the ring. And obviously they got Dean and Goldust, and them got Seth, and they both threw him back in the ring. And then all the Lumberjacks just started fighting and going nuts out of nowhere. And the whole thing was chaos in the ring. And Dean started, getting them out one by one, like Luke Harper and everything. And when he turned his back, obviously, Seth got the briefcase, and he hit Dean in the back of the head with the briefcase when the ref was not looking. And he got a cheap victory. I really do not like how Seth won, and, he's my favorite. They really need to book him better. I get that he's a heel, and he's supposed to be, with the authorities, so he's supposed to have these, stupid wins and everything like that, and not make him look so strong and still make Dean look strong. But it's just, I really wish that, I hope during their feud, Seth does get one clean victory, because it will make him look like he deserves to be there. And it's just, I just really hope that Seth, just even if Dean wins all the rest of them, and then Seth gets one clean last victory, like if they put the briefcase on the line, I'd like that. I just want Seth to get one clean victory, though. That's all I ask, I don't know. But they like what they did. They did the stupid.
I don't think that's too much to ask. I mean, get him a clean victory. Why does Uncle Kane have to keep getting involved? At this point, it's like, enough of Kane. I'm so sick of him. I'm so sick of mask on, mask off, wax on, wax off. Why don't you go back to Dr. Isaac Yankum DDS if you're going to keep changing your gimmick? I mean, seriously, this is just ridiculous. That was the only problem, though, I had with this match. Overall, and this is a bold statement, I've been wrestling over 20 years, this was the greatest lumberjack match I have ever seen. And there is not even a close second. Traditionally, lumberjack matches, Haley, are not really that good.
Yeah,
they're very predictable. The face gets thrown out, the heels beats on them. The face gets thrown out, the heel gets thrown out, the faces beat on them, or throw them in and not beat them on as much. This was almost like a Falls Count Anywhere match. Went all through the arena. I don't even remember the last time a big time pay-per-view not main event, but a big time pay-per-view match, was fought all through the stands, all through the arena, and then even Kane having his minions go grab the two competitors, Rollins, and drag them back. It was a different spin on a lumberjack match, and I really like you said, up to the point where Uncle Kane got involved. Very reminiscent of Money in the Bank with how Seth won the briefcase in the first place. And that's what's really, I want to see Seth win clean too. I'd like to see him go strong. Like, yeah, I'm more of a Dean Ambrose guy. I'm not afraid to admit it. I identify more with Dean Ambrose. I've been following him since he was John Moxley in the Indies. But look, Seth, he's clearly, he's clearly probably going to be a future world champion. I hope he is, because I'd like to see that briefcase regain some prestige and not keep being jobbed out. I do feel like he'll probably have the clean win at the end of their feud. Maybe they do end up having that ladder match with the briefcase, like we've all heard that rumor. And that would be the case where I'd like to see Seth go over clean. I don't see Dean winning the briefcase from him. And I don't even think Dean needs to necessarily win any matches. I think his character has been beneficial by the way they've been building this. But overall, I can't disagree. I know you're a big Rollins fan. He's not my favorite. Of the Shield guys, he was probably my least favorite of the three, but that's no disrespect because I love them all. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of Roman Reigns as well. And, Dean Ambrose is clearly my favorite of the three, but Seth Rollins, I agree. At some point, have the guy win clean, or at least not have Kane get involved. Like, enough Kane.
Yeah, corporate Kane needs to go away. He's getting on my last nerve.
Yeah, he's only been back a week and ready to kill him.
Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho. This match, I didn't really find anything special about this match. It was just kind of average. I thought their first match was better. That was just my opinion, though. And Bray won was two Sister Abigails. He did a Sister Abigail outside the ring into the what's it called?
Floor.
Yeah. And then he got him in the ring, and then he obviously did another Sister Abigail for the pin. And which was good, Bray Wyatt really needed this win. It just wouldn't have made sense for Chris to win it again. And obviously nothing happened. Bray Wyatt didn't turn face, and the Wyatts didn't come out. Nothing special like that happened. It just kind of ended. And that was pretty much that. Nothing. I think their feud might be done. I don't know, because Chris actually did say that he is going to be there until Night of Champions, so it probably would make sense for them to have one more match, just because it wouldn't really make sense for him to just start a new feud, so it'll probably take Chris into Night of Champions, and hopefully they do something special with this match, hopefully, cage match, something, something different, since they had, two pretty much just regular matches, except for the Wyatts being, obviously banned from ringside. So I guess it was a little bit different this time, but still. And it's funny too, they weren't banned for the first match, but yet Chris Jericho won, and then they're banned this time and Bray Wyatt wins. I just think that's kind of funny, but it makes Bray Wyatt look stronger.
It's a little odd. I agree. It's a little odd the way they booked it, but yeah, I mean, this win does make Wyatt look strong. Overall, nothing special. It's funny, I don't know if you realized it, this SummerSlam, the 1-year anniversary of Bray Wyatt's debut match against Kane in the Fire match last year.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, he's had a very successful rookie campaign and no longer a rookie going into his second year. And what a way to kick off his second year, to to knock off a future Hall of Famer, the former Undisputed Champion, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Y2J Chris Jericho.
Yeah, it was an average match, but like I said, Bray Wyatt is they're finally probably going to still continue his push, which makes me happy. They're not just going to let him get, destroyed, which makes me happy, because this guy has so much potential, and he's an amazing talker, probably at least top 2 or 3 talkers right now, if not the best. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more from him. Hopefully, I would like to see him in a Dean feud once, just because I think their promos would be excellent. And I know they already had the Shield and the Wyatts feud, but they didn't really have too much talking on it. So I would like them to get more in depth with that and just have Dean and Bray, because both of them are the 2 best talkers probably right now on the roster, and 2 of my favorites also. So I think they would have a great feud. but I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they have that.
The two best active full-time wrestlers who are talkers, the best talker in the company and the business is Paul Heyman. But the two best wrestler talkers who are full-time, Jericho is obviously still a great talker, Triple H, but as far as wrestlers and full-timers go, two of the best.
Next is this was probably my favorite match, Brie versus Stephanie. Stephanie, oh my God, there's so much stuff I can say about her. She really, really worked out because it seemed like it seems like she just had a match last week, obviously, because she was like that good in the ring. It didn't even seem like she was gone, out of the ring for 10 years. She just was so ready and so prepared. She trained so much, and she made it look so good. And Brie was the same way. Brie has gotten much better. Both of them collided very good and worked very well together. And obviously, we've seen this coming from a mile away. Nikki turned heel. And obviously, I want to talk a little bit about her face look. She kind of has the same look. She kind of had the same look on her face than Seth did when Seth turned on, Dean and Roman. But I don't know. She looked more sad than just kind of like dazed out. I don't know what they're gonna say. I mean, I feel like it's still gonna be like Nikki said. Oh, you kind of left me, and you made me fight my own battles and everything. I'm sure they're gonna go with that, but. They could just because she looked a little bit like she didn't want to do it, they could have her being blackmailed. It's a possibility that she could be like, Stephanie could be like, oh, you're going to get fired if you don't do this or whatever. But, we'll obviously see more of it tonight and see how it plays off. I'm interested in seeing Nikki turn heel. Hopefully her boyfriend turns heel very soon. I don't see that happening since he didn't turn last night, but
we'll get to that.
Yeah, but she obviously is definitely a better heel than Brie. Brie's definitely makes for the face, and Nikki makes for the heel. So especially and it's interesting because they've either both, like I've said, been heel or face. They haven't split them up yet. So I do think it's interesting that they're actually going to split them up and have them feud. Just see which one's really better. And in my opinion, I think Brie is better, but Nikki I think has a better finisher. But we will see how this whole storyline plays off, seeing as hopefully Nikki, kind of joins Stephanie and has the almost kind of like the beautiful people from TNA, kind of have the two heel couples,
Although it looks like that's what we're going to do with Summer Rae and Layla, but let's not even get into that. Look, let's break it down. Let's break it down, Haley. This match got a lot of "you still got it" chants for Stephanie McMahon. And let me tell you, that was well-deserved. Well, I'm here to set the record straight. You still got it? More like you got it and pushed it to another level. Stephanie did not wrestle a lot in her early reign. She was a former women's champion, wrestled Lita, wrestled Trish. Her and Trish's feud was more, almost like fighting for Vince's honor, and it wasn't really a technically sound feud. And then there was the last match she had 11 years ago with her own father, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And I always thought Stephanie was awkward in the ring. She wasn't very confident. Maybe she'd use the pedigree, just to use her husband's move. But this match, I mean, oh my God, when she sat there and did the Mr. Perfect snapback move, and this her outfit too. I mean, very Catwoman-esque with her outfit. I loved it. Her overall, just how she carried herself in there like she was Triple H, like she was a 25-year vet, and it looked like she was the one who was showing Brie the ropes when Brie's the more experienced wrestler, quote unquote. I was highly impressed. I mean, talk about the finish all you want. Predictable, Bella versus Bella. Nikki makes a better heel with her arrogance, and how do they play this out with the promos? It's going to be interesting to see. But I'm here to just give Stephanie McMahon Levesque a lot of credit that she deserves, because that was incredible, the performance that she put on. I was not expecting anything close to that. I thought this match would maybe underdeliver, maybe have some moments, the Nikki heel turn. But, I mean, it was a great back-and-forth match. Two highly competitive, highly featured Divas matches. And obviously Steph gets the win. And we did see a lot of heels get the win on this show. I believe it was 6 heels won and only 2 baby faces won out of the 8 matches, not counting RVD and Cesaro. So, strong performance by Stephanie, and you still got it. And it was actually a cool moment. There was some pictures floating around after they cut to the next promo. Stephanie actually hugged her daughters who were sitting at ringside. Really cool moment. So just props to Steph, man. I didn't know she was capable of that. I'm highly impressed.
I had a feeling that this was going to be a good match because she was working her ass off. So I had a feeling something good was going to happen. But like I said, Stephanie won. Triple H came out too, and then that's when Nikki came out, But yeah, overall the match was very good. Next, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. I was really looking forward to this match. I thought this was going to be the match of the show. It was a good match, though. I don't think it was the match of the show, but I definitely think it was a good match.
The false
especially with Randy Orton doing his RKO, and of course Roman being Super Xena and kicking out and everything. And Roman won with the spear. Obviously, we've seen Roman winning. It wouldn't have made any sense if Roman didn't win, to tell you the truth. So obviously now they're going to probably play that up for Triple H and Roman fighting at Night of Champions, like was said.
This was designed, not to cut you off, Haley. This was designed to really get Roman over strong as the building baby face. Like I said, him and Ziggler, the only 2 baby faces who got victories all night, not counting RVD over Cesaro. If you're, was holding your hat on baby faces winning, this was your match. They actually got me. It's hard for me to kind of, being in the business and being both behind the scenes. I've wrestled in the past. I've had a lot of roles in the business, so it's really hard for me to kind of lose my suspension of disbelief. I will say, though, the RKO that he hit, which was an incredible RKO, got to give Randy a lot of credit, broke it out of nowhere. I really thought he was going to win with that. And for a second, I was like, whoa, are they actually going to have Randy win? But no, kick out at 2, Paige out of Cena's book, and Roman gets to win with the spear and the Superman punch. Strong performance by Roman. Wasn't exact. I felt like something was missing here. I don't know about you, but this should have been better for Roman. I don't know why, but for me, I just felt like something was missing in this match. I can't even put my finger on it. But I just felt like, maybe Roman needs a few more moves. Like, he's got the flying dropkick to the outside, which I absolutely love. I'm not in love with him doing the spear. I think he's doing better with his mannerisms. Maybe he's studying Edge. I'd referenced that in previous videos we had done. Maybe he had been studying Edge with the mannerisms. I think his facial expressions are getting better. I love the Superman punch. But overall, I think if he's going to beat Brock Lesnar, especially based on the performance that we saw from the next big thing from the Beast Incarnate, he's going to need a lot more than a flying dropkick and a Superman punch and a spear to get the job done against the next big thing. So I just think he needs to add a little bit more promo ability, a little bit more talking. He's getting there with the facial expressions, and maybe he needs a submission move. I don't know what it is, but he needs something different. Just something a little extra, because his matches are gonna start looking an awful lot like Cena's if they don't give him something else to work with.
Speaking of Roman and Xena, I've compared them a lot together. Xena gets all this hate, but Roman is Xena to a T almost in some ways, except I think Xena's a better talker. But everyone loves Roman and hates Xena. I just don't get that. I've never been a fan of Roman since I seen him. He's, like you said, how Seth was your least favorite. Roman's my least favorite. I've never liked Roman. He needs something. He just looks like a powerhouse, and that's all pretty much he has. He doesn't do anything special, and he needs to work on his talking. There's something about the guy that just drives me nuts. I don't know. And it's just everyone's like so in love with him and thinks he's so great, and he's like the best one out of all 3 of them. But to tell you the truth, I think he's the weakest out of all 3 of them.
I think he caught a good break by being on the road and wrestling with 2 great wrestlers. I think Ambrose is great, and I think Rollins is great. They're 2 different wrestlers, but they're both great. I think he learned a lot, and how can you not, by traveling and riding with those guys for a year and a half? And it shows he's improved a lot. When you look at when he debuted, he was clearly the weak link when he debuted. He's improved a lot. But you're talking about the Cena comparisons, and I wanted to bring this up for a second, too. Let's turn back the clock, folks, to before Cena beat JBL, when he was on the come-up, and he was the cool guy and the rapper and the U.S. champion and all of that. You know, it wasn't until I think we all wanted to see John win, you know, beat JBL, and then even getting drafted to Raw. No one was really surprised by that when that happened. You know, we knew that's the direction they were going in. But right when he got the keys, it's almost like instantaneously people turned on him, and people wanted to see Christian beat him, and Chris Jericho beat him, and Rob Van Dam beat him, and Edge beat him, and we can go on and on throughout the years of people who the crowds have sided with the heels as opposed to John Cena. And I worry for Roman that could be his future. You know, what's next after he beats, if, you know, say they do the Brock Lesnar build and he beats Brock Lesnar, what's next? I don't know. You know, that's why I almost think it would be smart to have Seth cash in on him at WrestleMania and win the titles that way. It's never been done, so it'll be a historic moment. It would put Seth over strong, and it would give Roman something more to chase. Because I think once the babyface has nothing to chase, and Cena has said this in the past, in comparison to, like, Edge, you know, you take the Joker away from Batman, the Batman has nothing. So, you know, Roman still needs credible competitors to go against, and he really hasn't feuded with the Shield guys at all since the Shield breakup. So, to me, maybe that's the way to go, because I fear, you know, him getting booked as Super Cena. I think you're hitting on some good points, and I fear, you know, not now. We're all excited, you know, this is the ride right now, but I fear it could happen. And quite frankly, it could have happened to Daniel Bryan, too, if he didn't get hurt. I mean, I think it was different with Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan's always been this underdog coming out from Ring of Honor, and all the Ring of Honor fans are behind him. What he did in NXT, losing every match, being a magazine vendor, all the other stuff. And then, like, you know, his debut with the Nexus, getting fired, and bringing him back. It's always been a reason to get behind Bryan, where Roman's not an underdog. He just isn't. So, I mean, I worry that, like fans want to cheer the underdog. And once Roman gets on top, it gets lonely on the top. And we'll see. He's going to have to add more to his game if he's going to be the face, and you know, he's going to have to be multi-layered, because right now there is a certain one-dimensional element that Roman projects. Even though I am a fan, I like him, you know, it doesn't hurt that he's related to Mr. Johnson. That does not hurt at all. Just saying. But, yeah, I dig him. I think people like him over Cena because he's more of like an outlaw, almost like how the Sting Crow Kimmick was. You know, he's an outlaw, he's a loner. He's not hokey, cracking jokes and pandering to the kids. So I think that sets him apart from Cena in that regard. But I agree with you. He's got some flaws. And, you know, WrestleMania is going to come quick. So we'll see what they do and what he can do to keep elevating his game. Because he has elevated his game, Haley. You got to give him that. His debut with the Shield last year, what was he even doing? I mean, he was just there as the big guy. He wasn't talking much. He's just the guy who said believe and the guy who speared people. He's added the Superman punch, added the flying drop kick, added the Samoan drop, and he's got this aura about him. You can't deny that. He really does have this aura about him. But he needs to add more, or that aura is going to fade really quickly.
Well, even Seth said, even like he was good right when he came, but he just kept getting better and better and better. Even Seth said it. So I'm not trying to hate on the guy or anything like that. I think he's going to get real tired real fast. Like Daniel Bryan, people are already saying they don't like Daniel Bryan because of it, and it upsets me. It's just like people get sick of these wrestlers so fast, and you know they needed a new John Cena pretty much because John Cena can't be around forever, and so they're going to pick a young guy like Roman Reigns, and they're going to make him their new John Cena or their new Rock. Pretty much that's what we thought. Pretty much.
And with John Cena filming a legitimate movie, not just a WWE Films movie, but a legitimate movie with Amy Schumer, and, you know, obviously we'll get to the main event here, the way he was absolutely destroyed in the main event, there doesn't seem to be much future left for John Cena, barring a heel turn, and we'll get into the specifics of that as we get the main event of the evening here at SummerSlam from Staples Center.
Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the WWE World Championship. And now they were still holding 2 titles. The word is they're supposed to be debuting the new title with the WWE Network logo tonight. So hopefully they do that, because the 2 titles are just not looking good, because, you know, people are wearing them weird. So they just need 1 title. So this is a good thing that they're going to try and... the thing I didn't like, a lot of people liked about this, of course Brock Lesnar won, but Brock Lesnar dominated this match. He destroyed Cena. Cena really didn't even have any kind of comeback for more than, 20 seconds maybe, not even.
One FU, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, seriously, Brock Lesnar completely destroyed him. And he, you know, like I said, I didn't really like all the suplexes. There were 16 to be exact, 16 German suplexes. I thought that Brock could have done a little something more, but I think it was almost kind of like, because it was a regular match and it wasn't a no DQ match, it's almost like all he really was in, because, you know, he's a UFC fighter usually. I mean, he's pretty much based on that, and so all that really he could do was punch, pretty much. And so since he couldn't do that, I guess pretty much he did his main motive on the German suplexes. That's what I think, anyways, just to bring him down. And I don't know. It was just kind of bizarre. It was boring, and, you know, even the fans were chanting boring halfway through the match. I didn't like it. I thought this main event could have been much better. Their first match was way better than this. Hopefully, if they do have another match, which I think they need to, I don't even know now, since John Cena got destroyed, what the heck's, you know, the point of them having another match at Night of Champions is hopefully they make it so it's a simulation, you know, no DQ, cage match, something to make it so maybe John Cena can kind of come back a little bit and not look as bad as he did in this match. Because all this pretty much was just Brock Lesnar just throwing him around, having fun with him, like he pretty much said he was. He was going to leave him destroyed, and he was going to destroy the whole match like he did, you know. And
it made the Undertaker match at WrestleMania seem very competitive, because it didn't seem like Undertaker at 49 years old was more competitive than John Cena in still the prime of his career, the WWE champion. That was a little funny, but I will say Brock did do more than just 16 Germans. And let's take the whole match through as the ride that it was. So I really thought it was a cool roller coaster ride, but it was different, because usually we're so conditioned. There's a phrase called the 7 deadly sins in wrestling. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Are you?
I don't think so. No, it doesn't sound familiar.
The 7 deadly sins is a way of forming the match with the shine, the babyface getting the early shine, the cutoff where the heel cuts him off, the heat where the heel works all the heat, the double down where you see that big double clothesline and the count to 10 for the struggle, the false hope where the babyface tries to come back but keeps getting cut off, and then of course the finish. So this match, and I feel like that almost hurts wrestling because it makes wrestling predictable when you really follow that formula. I like to see it look like a sport. I like to see it look unpredictable. And this was unpredictable. Who could have seen this monster just destroying the most credible champion WWE has had since Austin or Rock? Like, let's not bullshit. John Cena, as you love him or hate him, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't necessarily hate him, but I'm a little sick of him being a main event. I understand why people feel the way they do about him. But, I mean, to have your face of the company, you literally, like the guy who has been making this go for 12 years, get destroyed. And Brock, you talk about the punches and knees. Those aren't exactly your typical wrestling punches and knees. He's punching with US gloves, with a closed fist. And you can see they're closed fists. He's not selling. He's not doing, with wrestling, he's supposed to open your fist like this, like a quarter roll. He was not doing that. He was beating the piss out of John Cena. Literally. I mean, those knee shots to the ribs, Haley, he probably did that about 10 times. Those big, giant, frying pan-sized knees, as Michael Cole would say, to Cena's ribs. Cena had to have at least bruised or cracked ribs after that. I mean, those were direct hits. And Brock, you know, the German suplexes, people talked about him. It was impressive. It was impressive because you never saw John Cena get manhandled like that. That's what made it so different. And you saw in the crowd, Rowdy Ronda Rousey, the UFC women's champion, at ringside, John Bones Jones was seen in the back celebrating with Brock Lesnar. And this is very interesting. You're seeing the stars of the UFC come out. And this is the positive of Brock becoming the champion and Brock cashing in on beating the Undertaker streak. Because Brock, whether people want to believe it or not, and I know there's kind of a separation of the UFC fans and the WWE fans. I am a huge UFC fan and a huge wrestling fan. Been a wrestling fan my whole life. And I've been a huge UFC fan for over 12 years. So I can respect both. And I think it's smart to kind of try to gauge the realism of MMA, because that's where a lot of the wrestling fans in the 90s went, folks. They went to MMA because MMA was real and it wasn't hokey. And, you know what you get with it. Even though there is some shenanigans that happen with it with some weird judging calls and all that. But that's a whole nother show we could do on. But overall, when you have John Bones Jones and Ronda Rousey, oh, by the way, Ronda Rousey, the star of the Expendables 3, sitting there at ringside, I mean, it's giving this special little aura. And whether Brock holds it till Night of Champions or holds it till WrestleMania, I really think, this is cool to see the UFC light heavyweight champion, John Bones Jones, hanging out backstage at the WWE show. You never would have saw this if Ken Shamrock would have won the world title in the 90s. You wouldn't have seen Coulter and Liddell and the rest of the UFC guys at the time come support. It just was taboo to, and you've seen The Undertaker at UFC events. You've seen The Rock, Bill Goldberg, a lot of WWE alums, Steve Austin, Jim Ross, Paul Heyman at UFC events. So to me, this is good for UFC. This is good for the WWE. I do think, I wouldn't be shocked if Brock loses at Night of Champions and he's done. And he goes back to UFC, because there's a big rumor floating around that he might go back to UFC. And if that's the case, and I'm going to end my rant on this, that's where you could see the Cena turn, folks. Because at this point, his back is against the wall. He has faced The Rock and been The Rock's bitch for a year. And then loses to The Rock, and then been the bench Rock. So essentially, he was The Rock's bitch for kind of 2 to 3 years before he beat The Rock. Finally got that monkey off his back. Obviously, 15-time world champion. If he wins it back, he ties Ric Flair, 16-time world champion. Don't get better than that. But in terms of reasons for turning heel, I mean, he just got embarrassed. He got the blood, sweat, and urine beat out of him, just like Rock and Paul said. And I would not rule out Paul E. turning on Brock. I've said it in past videos. He did it before when Brock Lesnar became the world champion, defeated The Rock, then had the great feud with The Undertaker, and then once he fought Big Show, he turned on Brock Lesnar for Big Show, giving Brock Lesnar his first ever loss in the WWF. So, I mean, hey, Cena's desperate. So what better reason to turn heel and to turn to the services of the greatest manager of all time, the only manager to manage 3 straight world champions, the man who's worked with jobbers, worked with mid-carders, had dangerous alliances. Hey, to me, there's no argument. He is the best manager of all time. Better than Bobby the Brain Heenan. Better than Jimmy Hart. Better than Paul Bear. Paul Bear was really only known for one guy besides his Percy Pringle work in the 80s. So to me, that could be the payoff, folks. And that could be the reason why John Cena got embarrassed as much as he did, to really give him reason to turn heel. Because does he really have any better reason to? Has he ever had any better reason to, short of the feuds with The Rock?
The thing is if they have Brock Lesnar lose at Night of Champions, they're gonna kill their whole thing. What's gonna happen with Roman, and when is he gonna win it? Is he still gonna win it at WrestleMania? That's why they're pretty much. I feel like they needed to really work into Brock's schedule before they made this match, because they really got to make him, even if he's gone for a few weeks here and there, that's fine, but he needs to be here especially if he's going to be the WWE, world champion. He needs to be here, and it's just going to kill their whole thing if he's not here. And it wouldn't make sense for him to win it here and then lose it at Night of Champions. So obviously to John Cena, I would think, because John Cena's the only one that's going to face him. There is word and talk about Batista returning either tonight or next week, but Batista would have to turn face and turn. It's just, I don't know. The whole thing
would be a good series of matches, but no way, shape, or form do I see Batista winning. I think Batista should come back as a face at this point. He kind of left unceremoniously with Evolution, and John Cena is now a damaged commodity. So now the time is now for Batista to come back, and he is overachieved with this Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Great reviews there, so his stock is actually pretty high right now. You know, I actually shared his Ice Bucket Challenge too, which was pretty cool. But I think now is the time, and people are talking about Lesnar versus Batista. It's really never been done. It was done once when Lesnar was young and Batista was with Evolution, and of course they feuded in OVW when Batista was known as Leviathan and Brock Lesnar. I mean, this is before even Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar was very unpolished at that point, and the masses of fans don't realize that they had. So Brock Lesnar, Batista, there's a matchup that can carry 2 pay-per-views. If John's going to get his rematch at Night of Champions, then lose, you can get Hell in the Cell and Survivor Series with Batista, and then you got TLC and then Royal Rumble, and now we're getting towards WrestleMania. So,
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like it just wouldn't make sense. I feel like they need to like build them up, and then because it would be good for Roman to beat Brock Lesnar too, because everyone would, he would destroy everyone, and then it would shock everybody that Roman would beat Brock Lesnar, and obviously then Seth cashing in the Money in the Bank. Like that would make the most perfect sense to me, because I don't know, because who else would beat Brock Lesnar? I mean, unless It's just, again, unless Daniel Bryan comes back. But, I mean...
Even if Daniel Bryan comes back, is he really believable that he can beat Brock Lesnar? I mean, he'll probably have a great match with Brock Lesnar. And, you were talking about Brock's match quality, and I would agree with you in that regard. Brock's match quality, each match he has had, with the exception of one, has under-delivered. And that one match he had was the one with CM Punk last year at SummerSlam. I actually rewatched SummerSlam 2013 before watching SummerSlam last night, just to kind of, I actually saw on the network they were showing it as well, but I wasn't watching the network. I was watching my DVD of it. But it was interesting to see kind of how people have developed and how people have changed, who is gone just from a year. That could be a whole nother show. But, CM Punk and Brock Lesnar was a great back-and-forth match, and CM Punk was able to wrestle like an MMA fighter and made it look believable with the counters and everything. And I didn't think Triple H was able to do that. I didn't think John Cena has been able to do that in the 2 matches, and the match with The Undertaker was a colossal disappointment.
Yeah. Well, we will see what happens tonight. I think it's gonna be a good Raw, because you got Nikki, the whole Nikki storyline. You got hopefully them debuting the new title tonight, and Brock's new opponent. They could. My brother's saying that his wrestling site that he likes is saying that I guess they're gonna try and pull off that John Cena has broken ribs and stuff like that, and he's real hurt and everything. So who knows? He might not even be the #1 contender. They might have, And that's why Batista, it wouldn't be a perfect time for him to come back, because if they have all this heat for Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan's not here yet, this would be the time to turn him face, since they wanted to turn him face when he came back before, but they obviously, they were over Daniel Bryan, so that's why he got booed.
Well, he
now
had a face then, but he just, and he brought. That was, if they had Brock come in, Batista come in and fight Brock at WrestleMania, 2 things would have happened. It would have not damaged Batista's credibility. You would have gotten a dream match in Batista and Brock at WrestleMania. Brock probably would have won regardless, and Undertaker would probably still be undefeated. So, the what-ifs of wrestling, folks. The what-ifs of wrestling.
I'm excited, though. It's going to be starting in about 25 minutes. So, overall, this pay-per-view, I expected more from it, but all the matches were solid, though, pretty much, except for, my opinion in the main event. I didn't like it. I guess I'm the only one that didn't like it, because everyone's saying that pretty much they liked it. So, I guess...
No, you're not in the middle. Duo Dreamer, shout out to his YouTube. He was not feeling it. My girlfriend hated it. She's a big Cena fan. I was actually kind of rubbing it in her face a little bit. She was getting a little salty.
I'm a Cena fan. I like Cena, but it's not even that. I didn't mind him losing at all. I did not care if he lost, because I knew he was going to lose. It's just I wanted more of a match. I don't know. It's just the suplexes just didn't do it for me. I don't know. I wanted to see more of a variety. And I also wanted to see...
And I will say, people think that was a record. People said that was a record for suplexes in a match. Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit probably both did over 20 German suplexes in their matches, probably against each other. Let's not forget about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit won suplex Steve Austin 10 consecutive times. Like, it's been done before. But for Brock to do it, to throw Cena around like a rag doll, it's impressive. But like you said, I would have loved for him to go for the Kimura and try to break Cena's arm, but he wasn't really working the arm. He was working the body, so I guess he stuck to a game plan, as they say, and to go with it like a fighter, he stuck to his game plan, and his game plan worked.
Yep.
And to start the match off with an F5 too, just wanted to say this real quick, that was different. He didn't match start off with a finisher anymore, and it's almost like a video game. Like if you're playing what is it, 2K now, 2K14, 2K15. If you hit a finisher on a guy right away, say you got a cheat code, you can hit a finisher right away. You know, it was almost like that, like a video game match. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I was just like, well, obviously he's going to kick out. Obviously they're not just going to end it right now. There's still 20 more minutes left in the show. It ended kind of fast, too. I was kind of surprised. I thought that, I really thought that someone was going to come out, either Hogan or whatever was going to come out. Something happened. I mean, it ended like 10 minutes before, at least 8 minutes before it even hit 11 and everything, and I don't know. I just thought it was crazy. I thought they could have done something more with it, but I see Joe's having some technical difficulties, so I don't know if he wants to add anything more to it, but like I said, I didn't like the match. I thought the main event could have been way better, and it's just, I don't know, the whole thing's ridiculous, and the whole feuding thing, we'll see what happens with Brock Lesnar. Hopefully, you know, he has one more match with Cena, because unless Batista comes back tonight or Randy Orton turns face in the next week or two and gets his rematch. Those are the only two possibilities I could see if they're really going to write off John Cena right now for a month or two and then have him maybe come back and try and get his rematch for Brock Lesnar. But those are the only two guys I can actually see. Is Randy Orton maybe turning against Authority, and which is possible, but what about, you know, his feud with Kane? Like, I feel like it would be better if, you know, he feuded with Kane for a little bit, but they've done that.
I'd rather see versus Brock than Randy versus Kane. Enough of Kane. Goodbye. Bye, Glenn. Go work for Fox News, Glenn. Go talk about libertarians. Goodbye, Glenn.
All right. Well, this has been Wrestling Throwdown, and I will put Joe's link in the description. Don't forget to check him out. You said you did a reaction last night for Brock Lesnar?
I actually filmed that today before we filmed. It was kind of a quickie thoughts, almost like a teaser. You know, a teaser to this review right here, where we gave the full complement of thoughts. But that was just kind of like a little teaser on my thoughts on the Brock Lesnar match last night. Also, there was breaking news in the world of TNA. Apparently, Bully Ray is done. I'm going to have my reactions on that. Also, some other videos which I've been putting, I haven't been able to get, including the Paul Heyman review and the Robin Williams video. My apologies for people who've been wanting to see those videos, but there's only been so many videos I've been able to do due to a very rigorous work schedule, and I apologize to everybody on the Throwdown for that as well. Big shout out to Michael Miner, who's been the third man in our group, and very appreciative of his effort keeping the Wrestling Throwdown machine going. And hey, what better way to kick off Raw than watch the Wrestling Throwdown SummerSlam review? Haley, thank you so much for having me on. Check out the Joe Passarelli channel for reactions on Bully Ray, some videos from Patriots training camp, including my ALS Ice Bucket Challenge from last week, and a special video today. Shout out to everybody who's been subscribing to the Throwdown in the Joe Passarelli channel, including some very special Patriot fans. Y'all know who you are. And Haley, thank you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Looking forward to do some Raw review ski tomorrow.
And guys, I will be doing the TNA and SmackDown reviews still. I know we're behind on that, and I hope you guys still watch. For TNA, I might have a special guest on, John Parrish. I might have him on. And we will be talking about the Bully Ray thing. So if you guys want to hear our thoughts about Bully Ray, I will be talking about Bully Ray, and hopefully I'll get a hold of John and see if he wants to do that with me. Don't forget to subscribe and like us and follow us on Twitter. I will put all these links in the description for you. And this has been Wrestling Throwdown, and I will see you guys in the next one.